Eccoci qua. Hello, welcome here.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Aster, to be here virtually speaking. We're really honored to have this possibility to talk with you. And as you can maybe see from the back of the movie theater, it's really full. I imagine there are many people that are fans of your cinema. We screened also your previous movies, Hereditary and Midsommar, in the last weeks, and so here we are, finally, and we really waited to have this opportunity. So I think that 90% of the people that are here speak English, but some don't. So I will need to translate. So I'm asking you to make the sentences not too long because I'm not a professional interpreter. And I will do maybe the first couple of questions because at the beginning usually people are a bit shy, but then I will pass the microphone so maybe somebody else has questions for you. Is it okay?
Yeah, of course.
Can you see me from?
I can. You're very small.
I'm a bit
But
small, yeah.
I'm
You're
excel.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ok, allora, beh, avete capito tutti, penso cosa ho detto, abbiamo proiettato anche i suoi precedenti film e farò le prime domande prima, per rompere il ghiaccio, poi siete benvenuti, se volete farne, alzate la mano e vi porterò il radiomicrofono. So, the first question is the simplest one. It's just to understand because this third movie is quite different from the other two, but there are also many things in common, many feelings, many aspects in common with the other two movies. And I wanted to know something about the process. When did you have when you had the first idea, and how did you develop it?
Uh, well, I made a short a long time ago, about 12 years ago, called BEAU that uh wasn't a very it wasn't a very serious project. I was kind of just slapping something together because I had a location that I wanted to use. But I really liked the idea of a man leaving his keys in the door on on his way on a trip, and then he remembers something else in the other room, goes to get it, and when he comes back, the key is missing, and that felt like a really strong catalyst for
Okay.
an anxiety comedy.
Ok, quindi la prima idea per questo film è stato un cortometraggio che ha fatto circa 12 anni fa, in cui c'era questo primo nocciolo, insomma, di questo personaggio che esce dalla sua stanza e poi torna indietro e gli rubano le chiavi, che è appunto poi una delle scene del film, e gli è piaciuta questa idea e ha cominciato a lavorarci sopra.
And so I wrote a feature that uh, was very episodic and really strictly comedic, but very dark. And it made me laugh. And I tried to get it made, and I couldn't get it made. And so I kind of put it in a shelf, and I came back to it after Midsommar and found that I had changed a lot, but that I still loved the project. And so I rewrote it and spent a lot of time just sort of letting it grow, but it always stayed essentially the same.
E quindi insomma ha cominciato a lavorarci sopra, è partito appunto da questo nocciolo, ha cominciato a scrivere un progetto che però non ha realizzato. Però ci si è affezionato, insomma c'era qualcosa che gli piaceva, che lo divertiva di questo progetto e quindi l'ha lasciato lì e poi alla fine ha deciso di riscriverlo.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
E ha funzionato. So it was born before the other two movies, but then you rewrote it after you made the other two movies. Uh, and you also spoke about a sort of trilogy uh, because they are all of the three movies are really connected, and but this is quite different. It's not a horror movie, but as I saw before, there are many feelings that are in common with the other two. Could you say it's a sort of trilogy, as I maybe read in some interview? What do you think about the connections between your three movies? Do they make a sort of chapter of your um, creativity?
Um, well, it was really in making it that I realized that it was the third of a sort of unofficial, unintended trilogy. I realized that I was kind of going back to a lot of the same themes and a lot of the same ideas, but that this time it felt very deconstructive and very irreverent. And again, it's a comedy. And so I think the idea was, the feeling was that I was taking a lot of those themes that were compelling me on those first two films, and I was returning to them, but I was kind of sticking dynamite into them and blowing the whole thing up and making something that would kind of co collapse in on itself, if that makes sense.
Ok. Praticamente quando è tornato appunto al progetto iniziale, dopo i due film, è stato un po' come se avesse voluto farlo esplodere, metterci della dinamite e farlo collassare su se stesso. Quindi c'è stato qualche cosa che dagli altri due film poi lo ha fatto cambiare rispetto a quello che era il progetto originario.
Yeah. That's...
Okay. Okay. Was it the first version, we could say, of Bo very different? Was it, yeah, very different
It,
from
uh,
the last?
the first section was basically exactly the same. The second section was very similar, but the cruise ship was not there yet. So the cruise ship was new. The 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 scene in the sequence in the woods was completely different. There was never any play, and then the final scene in the Colosseum, the tribunal, the trial, that was new. So those were the things that I added.
Ok, la prima versione era, mancavano alcune scene, alcune scene le ha aggiunte appunto dopo e sono in particolare quella del teatro e la scena finale, quindi quella del processo. But was it different also in terms of feelings, or did you start from the beginning with this idea of a person with that is so afraid of everything and then go, we could say, deeper and deeper into his own dreams and nightmares and everything?
Well, the idea was to go into a person. I mean, the it's obviously an invented world, and it's a deliberately, it's a comic world. It's meant to be funny. All the way through, the goal for me was to make myself laugh, even when the film was becoming very sad or very um, mournful. It's always it doesn't work if it's not funny, and that's a very subjective thing. But I think the task was always to externalize the internal, right? To take the inside of this guy and have that be the world that he's navigating. Um, and so that was always kind of the idea. But I would say when I returned to the film, that I was maybe more conscious of that okay, what I'm doing here is I'm going deeper and deeper into this guy's neuroses.
Ok, sì, l'idea fin dall'inizio era quella di entrare appunto all'interno, nell'interiorità di una persona In qualche modo questo mondo che c'è all'esterno è un riflesso di quello che è all'interno del personaggio, ma voleva anche molto divertirsi. Questo mondo fittizio è un mondo che lo faceva anche ridere, in cui trovava insomma sempre un divertimento, anche se è un mondo assolutamente tragico. E quando poi però è tornato al progetto, e in qualche modo era più consapevole di questa volontà di entrare appunto all'interno, e quindi ha cercato di approfondire ulteriormente questo viaggio interiore. And another question is about the theater scene and the animation part. I have read that you took inspiration also from the work of some Chilean artists that then you involved into your work, and they designed part of the animation. But at the same time, I felt that all of your movie, it's for me, it reminds me of in general the spirit of animated movies, because it's such a sort of different world, a parallel world. It's so free and so mixing different levels, that it's something that I found in some animated movies, and also in movies from directors like, for instance, Tim Burton, that used both animation and live movies, and had this sort of freedom in both medias. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the film is sort of a live action cartoon. And so that's right. And that was something that was on my mind as we were making it, but that, this thing, it, has more in common with like The Simpsons than it does my other films. But yeah, I mean, I brought on uh the Chilean animators who did La Casa Lobo, Joaquin Cosina and Cristobal Leon, to do the animation. It I wasn't so much inspired by them while I was writing the film because I hadn't actually seen La Casa Lobo at that point. I saw it after writing the film, and after writing the play sequence. But um, once I decided that I wanted to incorporate animation into that sequence, uh, I realized that I didn't want to go to an animation house. I wanted to go to artists who were more personal than that, who made their own work, which is a little complicated because the sequence was already shot listed and was already planned out. But I still wanted to bring on people who I would have to really uh, meld with. And that was challenging in that the film already had its own aesthetics and that they had to sort of fall in line with those aesthetics. But it was very fun to work with them, and I do love animation, and I like that you said that because that was sort of the spirit of the whole film.
ok, la mia domanda era rispetto al fatto che in particolare la scena del teatro, dove ci sono delle parti di animazione, potessi aver avuto un'ispirazione da questo film d'animazione che si intitola La Casa del Lupo, di due artisti cileni, che poi lui ha coinvolto appunto in questa parte. In realtà la risposta è, e poi proseguivo dicendo che questo film mi ricorda un po' il mondo del cinema d'animazione, d'autore ovviamente quello più raffinato, per la sua libertà, per l'estrema capacità di mescolare livelli diversi e per l'estrema libertà che ha. Mi ricorda anche un po', mi ha ricordato alcuni lavori. Ho nominato Tim Burton perché ha questa libertà sia nei film d'animazione che in quelli live. La risposta è che di fatto sì, c'è, sicuramente questo è il film che ha un'estetica che può ricordare di più anche un film d'animazione. In realtà questi due artisti cileni non gli hanno dato ispirazione perché aveva già immaginato la scena e scritto il film, ma ha visto il loro lavoro e gli è piaciuto molto e ha deciso di coinvolgere loro perché per questa parte del teatro dove voleva appunto alcuni effetti di animazione non voleva rivolgersi a una casa di animazione tradizionale, ma degli artisti con cui poter effettivamente collaborare a un livello piuttosto anche complesso, perché essendo il film e la sua estetica già stati definiti, e essendo loro due artisti, bisognava trovare appunto il modo per eh, effettivamente accordarsi, no? Riuscire a mescolare quello che era la sua visione del film già in parte girato e quello che era la loro visione appunto che poteva aggiungersi al film. Ok, penso di aver tradotto più o meno tutto. Ehm, cominciamo con le domande da voi, se c'è qualche domanda io passo volentieri il microfono. Allora, arrivo. There is a question just at the end of the room. I'm going with the other microphone. Dov'è la mano?
Fate in piedi?
Sì, sì.
Okay. Sorry. So I've seen all your movies, including The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. So I just want to know, based on like family and all of that, how much is accurate from that and Hereditary and this movie? How much of it is Fableman's and how much of it is fake? Just curious, if that's not too personal.
Um, well, I mean, there's like a dick monster in the movie. It's not, it's pretty, it's all pretty uh playful here. No, no, I mean, I'm very close with my family. I would say you could probably describe the dynamic sometimes as fraught, but no, no, yeah, no, I'm scrambling to find an answer here, but no, it's all made up. Well,
All of it?
I mean, yeah, yes, yeah, it's all made up. Maybe feelings are personal, but no, no, it's not in any way, in any way autobiographical. I see this movie as like a big Jewish joke, including the mother character.
Ok, traduco rapidamente per chi avesse bisogno. Allora, la domanda è rispetto se il film possa avere un riferimento autobiografico, quanto sia vero e quanto sia falso. Non lo è, non è autobiografico, è abbastanza, insomma, nel film c'è anche un pene gigante, ci sono tante cose che non potrebbero essere vere, ma al di là di quello lui ha un ottimo rapporto con la famiglia e anche sua mamma è molto diversa dal personaggio del film, quindi no, non è autobiografico, è tutto inventato. Ma ci potrebbe essere qualche sentimento, qualche cosa. Yeah, because I heard that also when you wrote Hereditary, that for sure can't be autobiographical, but at the same time you said that no, you didn't say it, but I read from some journalists that you had a tragic childhood and you decided to transform it, your pain, making Hereditary. I don't know if it's true.
I Well, if you dig into those interviews, you'll also find me being very cryptic, just as I'm being right now. But in the way that I answer that question. But no, childhood, no. I'd say that there have been long stretches during which my family and I have like experienced some heavy stuff. And so if anything, I certainly when I was writing Hereditary, I was tapping into uh feelings that came out of that time, those times. Um anyway, that's I wonder if one day I'll be less cryptic in these answers, but it's not going to happen for a while.
Sì, beh, mi sono ricordata appunto che avevo letto delle recensioni di Hereditary che dicevano che in questo film lui avesse riversato parte dei dolori provenienti da un'infanzia difficile. E lui scherza su questo dicendo che appunto di solito lui è molto criptico nelle risposte ai giornalisti, non sa se smetterà mai di esserlo, e che però sì, non è proprio così, però quando ha scritto Hereditary magari qualche sentimento che proveniva anche da momenti difficili della sua infanzia e attraversati dalla sua famiglia, qualche cosa ci può essere stato. C'è qualche altra domanda? Porto il microfono? Sì. There is another question.
Hi, Ari. First of all, thanks for being here answering to all of our strange question. And I was wondering if it is right to think that in the end, BEAU's fear win.
Sorry, say that again.
I was wondering if it is right to consider that in the end, BEAU's fears win.
That that his fears win.
Yeah. Sorry for my English.
No. Well, it seems that way, doesn't it? Yeah, I think that's accurate. That might be a reductive way of looking at it, but I do think but I don't think that's incorrect.
Ok, la domanda è se è giusto pensare che alla fine vincano le paure di Bo nel finale, e la risposta è ma sì, in fondo potrebbe essere così, sembra un po' così. Ci sono altre domande? Sì? Più di una? Allora.
Hi. I was interested about the part in the wood because the wood in the myth and in tales is supposed to be the place where the main characters got lost, but in the same way he goes through a path to grow up and to man up in the end. But in the wood, he he seems to be very static and just being able to see what he could have been his life. He would be able to break the chain with his family. And I don't know if I got misunderstood, but if you can tell us more about it. Thank you.
No, I do think you're right. It's, I mean, a big part of the film for me is that Bo does not change. That's sort of what the film is about. It's about somebody who's trapped in themselves and can't change, which I think can make for a potentially frustrating protagonist, which again is sort of the point. But that interlude in the woods is, I think, where we go furthest into him and into his fantasies and his longings. And it's you're right. It reflects what his life could be if he had more agency, if he could free himself from his neuroses and his dynamic with his mother, but which is really, his perceived dynamic from his mother, because I think there's even a question as to, whether that is actually what's happening or whether that's how he's perceiving it. And that is, I think that's the point in the film at which we show where the movie could go, that we'll learn soon that it won't be going there, because he won't be able to go down another road.
Allora, la domanda rispetto alla scena centrale del bosco, spesso il bosco è il luogo dove, in questo caso il bosco è il luogo in un certo senso di una possibile crescita, però il personaggio rimane anche molto statico, è come se semplicemente guardasse come avrebbe potuto essere la sua vita se fosse riuscito a liberarsi dalle catene, dalla sua famiglia, insomma, dal cordone ombelicale. La risposta è che in effetti BEAU è un personaggio che non cambia, cioè alla fine è quello che il film racconta, è che questo personaggio non riesce a liberarsi dalle sue catene, dalle sue paure. Però sicuramente in quel momento lui ha questa percezione di se stesso, vede effettivamente, ha un insight, insomma un momento di consapevolezza, ma non sappiamo se ne trarrà vantaggio, e ben presto veniamo a scoprire che effettivamente non è così.
Yeah. Another way of saying it is that I think the film is about an unlived life. And I think that sequence might be sort of a key there.
E comunque questa scena è comunque centrale, potrebbe essere un momento, una chiave di lettura di tutto il film. C'era un'altra domanda qua? Ho visto una mano alzata.
I really liked the sequence in the beginning with the streets in the city. The dead guy in the middle of the intersection, yeah, all the panic outside. I guess the question is, were you thinking of something, some inspiration for that?
I mean, I live in New York City, and I think the idea there was to create a version of the city that is a person's worst fantasy of what city life is and could be, while still kind of connecting it to the things that are upsetting about city life, like, living in an apartment among people you don't know, who are your neighbors. Yeah. But I guess one inspiration was Jacques Tati's Playtime, when I was thinking about working with the background actors and the extras on the street, and making sure that they all had very specific behavior, and that if there's somebody in the frame, nobody is too far away from the camera to not deserve all the attention in the world.
Allora, la domanda è rispetto alla scena iniziale, diceva gli è piaciuto molto questa scena, la parte in città, insomma, con tutto questo panico, e la risposta è che se c'è una ispirazione per questo. La risposta è che lui vive a New York, quindi una città dove succede un po' di tutto, e che ha voluto mettere nel film un po' come le peggiori paure che si possono avere vivendo in una città. Però c'è anche un punto di ispirazione che è Playtime di Tati, qualcuno magari l'avrà anche forse visto il trailer, l'abbiamo proiettato qualche anno fa, e soprattutto per tutti questi personaggi nello sfondo, diciamo, che spesso sono molti nella stessa inquadratura, però ciascuno di loro è diverso e specifico e merita una sua attenzione, insomma. La camera non è mai troppo distante dal personaggio da non farci vedere che cosa gli succede, insomma. C'è un'altra domanda, prego.
Hi, I just wanted to know if in the making of the movie, some expert in psychology helped you or you just did it all by yourself? Because I saw some Freud in it, so thank you.
Um, I didn't have any help in that department. I did it by myself.
Allora, uso l'altro perché temo che forse si sta scaricando il radiomicrofono. Dunque, la domanda è se ha avuto bisogno di esperti psicanalisti, psicologi, consulenti per il film, visto che c'è molto di freudiano nel film. No, ha fatto tutto da solo, insomma, tutta farina del suo sacco. There is a question here.
Hi, I just wanted to know how was working and directing in Joaquin Phoenix, and how did you work together in order to build the Bo's character?
Joaquin is the greatest. It was the best experience I've ever had with an actor. I don't know anybody. I've never met an actor who's more committed, or more challenging in all the right ways to work with. And I don't mean that he's a challenge to work with. I mean that he has a way of kind of challenging himself and challenging the material in a way that is really good for the movie and just for keeping things alive. And we went through the script a lot, just talking. Really, he's somebody who likes to talk a lot and ask a lot of questions, and a lot of the time the question he asks is something I had never considered, and it forces me to re-engage with the script that I wrote. And yeah, I mean, it really just comes down to talking, a lot of talking, and a lot of being sensitive to when something feels like dead, or like we've worked it to death, and when it and knowing that it's time to talk again and go back to the lab and kind of reconsider what we're doing. It was a great experience.
Quindi la domanda è come è stato lavorare con Joaquin Phoenix insieme sul personaggio, e la risposta è che è stata l'esperienza migliore della sua vita con un attore che è il migliore, perché si dedica moltissimo a quello che fa e sfida molto anche se stesso e il personaggio stesso che deve interpretare, e quindi hanno lavorato molto insieme, parlando anche molto a lungo, soprattutto quando c'era qualcosa che magari non sembrava funzionare del tutto, per di nuovo trovare insomma quello che ci voleva per far funzionare sempre al meglio il personaggio, e quindi è stato davvero un'esperienza di dialogo continuo. Hanno parlato molto dello script insieme e è stata una sfida anche per lui lavorare insieme a Phoenix, ma è stato molto molto importante. Vedo che c'era una mano alzata laggiù, è vero? Sì, arrivo. There is another question there. Nel frattempo qualcuno mi ha cambiato provvidenzialmente le pile. Dov'era la mano? Qua.
Hi, Mr. Aster. Just wanted to ask if, as soon as we're in Italy, if you ever had any experience, any passion in an Italian director, or movie, or anything about Italian cinema.
Yeah.
And horror or not, because we had many good directors in horror like Argento, Fulci, and not horror.
Of course. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to say anybody who's very original. I love Fellini. I love Dino Risi. I love I love Argento. I love a lot of Antonioni, not all of it. Um, and yeah, I love um Rossi, and yeah, I mean it's a long list of people that I love. Uh, I was just watching.
You're frozen.
Oh,
Okay, now you're okay now.
am I frozen? Yeah, I was just watching Tree of Wooden Clogs a couple weeks ago, again, because that's a film I love to return to. Um, yeah, no, it's a long. I'd have to dig for a while to think of all the films I love from Italy, but I would say, it's a boring answer, but Fellini is very, very important to me. Especially 8.5. What he does with blocking and the camera, it's a film that I return to probably more than anything else.
Beh, credo che non abbia bisogno di traduzione. Soprattutto 8 e mezzo, Fellini, poi ha citato tutti gli altri, ma li avete sentiti anche voi. And there is another question here.
Hi, Ari. This is not really a question. I just wanted to tell you that you are, for me personally, I think you are the best director in these years. And I don't know, I just think that the way that you make me feel with these movies, these emotions, in like Midsummer, the way that you make the people watching the movie, it's the way that you portray the feelings that the characters have. It's really magnificent. It's beautiful. I think you're a genius. Okay, and I'm a big fan. Sorry, and I really love you, Mr. Ari Aster. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry.
No, thank you so much. That's so kind. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Speaking about fans, when I first saw the movie, I immediately perceived that it was a bit divisive. In the movie theater where I was, that was not the Beltrade, I saw different reactions, opposite reactions. And I thought maybe the fans will be a bit angry because it's not our movie, it's different. But I'm sure that I'm thinking now it's not that way. I'm thinking that most of the fans appreciated the movie. But it's divisive, actually, because the structure is so different, and there is not a catharsis, there is not a solution. It's a sort of horizontal structure, never-ending journey. Then it ends, actually, but it's really like something that doesn't develop. It's always the fears and always the bad and worse and evil. So it's a bit divisive, we could say. You were very brave to change so much from your previous movies. Were you afraid to divide people about your new movie?
Well, no, but you don't know how divisive it's going to be until it's out, and then it's that divisive. I think, if anything, the question of, I mean, I've been asked a lot, like, do you just not care about the audience? And I don't know how to answer that except to say, what audience? It's a hypothetical. Once you start making things with this imagined crowd in your mind and trying to please all of them, I don't know where you are. You're lost. And for me, the biggest danger is in being beholden to expectations. I think that in some ways may be part of the excitement here was the idea of freeing myself from whatever expectations I had set up, and at the same time kind of parodying where I had been before. And that's what I mean by when I say that I wanted to stick dynamite into the earlier films and blow them up, because it's not that I've completely departed from the earlier work, but I knew that this would be divisive. I didn't know the extent to which it would be divisive. I didn't actually realize that I had made this challenging of a film. I mean, if you want to use the word challenging, if you want to use, I mean, I've heard people describe it as infuriating, frustrating. I've heard some people say, "Oh, it falls apart in the last hour." I've heard some people say, "It falls apart in the middle and then it regains its footing." I've heard people say, I love the last hour the most, and so it's easy to get lost in those reactions. And I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't aware of it, because I'm interested. You make a film, you spend 3 years making it, you want to know how it's being received. And I would say that it's a complicated thing to navigate, but as I come to it's been almost 2 months now that it's been playing in different parts of the world, and I've come to not only kind of make peace with it, but it feels right. It feels like what the film wanted without me maybe even totally realizing it while I was making it, which is to make something that really digs its heels in as to what it is and what it's doing, and refuses to bend on that.
Allora, è questo tema abbastanza scottante, no? All'inizio, quando siamo andati a vedere l'anteprima, effettivamente abbiamo visto reazioni molto, molto diverse, molto contrastanti. Il mio timore poteva essere che chi aveva amato i suoi primi 2 film si aspettasse un terzo horror e fosse in qualche modo deluso da un film così diverso, con una struttura così aperta, che non dà soluzioni, che non ha nemmeno una catarsi, insomma. E poi però ho pensato che forse era stata solo più un mio timore, vedendo appunto queste prime reazioni, e gli ho chiesto se avesse avuto paura di queste reazioni, e la risposta è che, in sintesi, effettivamente gli importa di quello che sono le reazioni degli spettatori, però quando scriveva il film, quando aveva in mente tutto questo mondo, aveva proprio voglia di essere libero, insomma, di liberare completamente la sua fantasia, quello che aveva in testa, e non di pensare a quali potessero essere le aspettative. C'era anzi il bisogno di liberarsi dal peso di quelle che possono essere le aspettative di chi già ti conosce, magari appunto si attende qualche cosa di simile, e quindi era importante appunto questa libertà, che non vuol dire appunto che non ci tenga alle reazioni degli spettatori. Paolo, no. C'è qualche altra domanda? Ce ne sono parecchie, non so, a un certo punto dovremmo forse mettere una fine, perché non possiamo farvi intervenire proprio tutti. Adesso arrivo, There are other questions. We don't want to take you here all the day, that is all the night for us, but at least maybe a couple. Dov'era la prima? Qua.
Hello. So I actually have 2 questions. The first one is, so in each of your 3 movies, we've seen a lot of close-ups with the actors kind of like overacting a little bit, and I was wondering if you took that part from the expressionist movement, especially the German expressionist movement. And the other question was something about like your writing process. We know, as you told us, that BEAU is Afraid is from like an idea that you had several years ago. But your writing process during the script, does it change as, I don't know, you find some new location that you like, or as the characters interact between one another. So if, for example, you change some part of the script, some episodes during the movie. Thank you.
You know, I love German expressionism. That's not where I think the performances come from. I mean, I might point to my affection for melodrama. Maybe if I was gonna grasp at where the pitch of the performances maybe comes from. And then, yeah, you know, I mean, I think writing and directing are basically the same thing. So if you're able to direct, then you just basically stay the writer for a longer time. And it's always just about, you know, when you're writing in a script, you're trying to be as specific as possible while also being as efficient as possible, because if you write down all of your ideas, then it becomes very long, and you want a screenplay to be a finite amount of pages, but no, it's always growing, and I think I think every film I've made, I've become more and more comfortable with not locking anything in, and you know, trying to be open to seeing something on the day or on a location that can inform the script.
Allora, la prima domanda era rispetto se ci fosse un'ispirazione dall'espressionismo tedesco, dal cinema espressionista tedesco. Lui ama il cinema espressionista tedesco, ma non era tanto quella l'ispirazione per i suoi personaggi, sono più radicati forse nella tradizione del melodramma. E la seconda domanda l'ho persa un pochettino. Gli hai chiesto, scusami, se me lo riassumi in italiano?
Gli ho fatto una domanda sul come lavora sullo script e se cambia alcuni pezzi dello script quando continua a scrivere.
Sì, la risposta è stata che quando scrivi hai in mente un'idea molto precisa, però sei poi anche regista e quindi sì, certamente c'è non si chiudono le idee dentro un recinto, ma poi si possono appunto anche sviluppare e cambiare. Ari, do you have still some time for a last question, or
sure,
do you have to go?
Okay. I can do one more.
Ok, one more. Allora, c'era un'altra mano alzata, vediamo dov'era. Qua, ok.
Hi. First of all, congratulations for the character. It's actually, I don't know how, but you nail it. Like, I don't know, some parts of also my life were depicted there, and it's actually very surprising. Also because you say that for you it's all like a work made, you know, by, you know, your work that you have in your mind. It's not actually based on your personal experience. Speaking about this, my question is, when you write a character in particular, how do you develop it? How do you create it? Do you like to create and then giving to him kind of like I don't know, a fully description of how it is, or you just put him like in a particular situation, for example?
And it really depends on the instance. I would say it's usually a feeling I have for a character, or about a character that I follow. Sometimes it's an image, sometimes it's a physicality, but you know, but it's always different. In this case, I knew that I kind of knew what BEAU's relationship to the world was. You know, there's a line of dialogue that kind of gets repeated, which is basically, "I'm sorry, thank you, I'm sorry," and that was maybe one of the first things that came to me about Beau, was that he was always apologizing, even though he's he's done basically nothing. Although the film kind of asks, is it that he's done nothing? And is that maybe what his crime was?
Ok, la domanda era rispetto ai personaggi, come li scrive, se parte da una situazione, li mette in una situazione o se parte proprio dal carattere, dalla personalità. E la risposta è che dipende molto dalla storia del personaggio, ma nel caso, soprattutto c'è un sentire com'è il personaggio e soprattutto nel caso di Beau, appunto, lui ha proprio percepito il suo modo di essere verso la vita. E fin dall'inizio era questo, soprattutto questo che è poi riassunto nella frase che dice più volte I'm sorry, questo senso appunto di dispiacere o di colpa che continua a manifestare. Ok, maybe first of all, I would like to invite you to come here to the Beltrade. If you pass by Milan, by Italy, we would really happy to have you here in person and not just on the screen. That would be great.
I'd love it.
And I also have to tell you a very, very short story because it's really fun. I was a bit shocked because after seeing your movie, after seeing Beau during the night, then we went home and in the morning we had breakfast in a bar and we had received as a gift a t-shirt with the shape of the pajama, Beau's pajama, and my friend has it, had it, wore it, and she was taking coffee and she wanted to make a selfie with the t-shirt to send it to the distributor, to Dario, that is listening, I guess, now. And in that same moment, a big black spider came out of the t-shirt alive on her body. And I was so scared. It was shocking, really. So your movie became true in the morning. And with this short story, I will still thank you for your beautiful movies, all of them. And really, we hope to have you here next time.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you. And thanks everybody for staying, because now that's like 4 hours of your day. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's quite late here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully that means you guys.
See you.
Goodbye.
See you. Goodbye.
Thank you again, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Grazie. Grazie a tutti e buonanotte a tutti. Good night.
Thanks again.